Radical.
In Atlanta, as Saturday night's main event, Bill Goldberg took on Gunther in what is his retirement match. Well, a lot of wrestlers say they're having a retirement match. Rick, woo, Flair. They say and claim they're having a retirement match. And then they have about 5 or 6 or 7 or 20 retirement matches after that. But if we're to believe Bill Goldberg, this is his actual final match, his retirement match, and it was a loss to Gunther. This was in Atlanta, like I said. So before I get into the match, I want to talk about how important Goldberg was to wrestling history. A lot of people will not put him on the Mount Rushmore of all-time best wrestlers of all time. And heaven knows he's not exactly any Bret Hart. But when it comes to overall appeal, when it comes to a man just being a fucking badass and the pyro and the psyching himself up to hit his head on a locker, everything about this guy was legit. He just came across as really legit, like, this motherfucker can do some damage and he can fuck your day up. And a lot of that was just real and genuine. And you kind of felt it like that's really actually who Bill Goldberg is. He's just a tough son of a bitch. And a lot of wrestlers, they have these gimmicks, but you can see right through them. I think Bill Goldberg was so popular in the late 90s for similar reasons to why Stone Cold was so popular. Well, not his first gimmicks, but when he became Stone Cold Steve Austin, is it felt genuine. It felt real. So when Goldberg came out there, and he came out there for big matches with all the security guards, you felt like, yeah, you're going to get a damn show. And what you're going to get is not a amazing wrestling match, but it's just going to be basically, give him his credit. He had a very limited wrestling repertoire. Some power slams, some punches, some kicks, the spear, the jackhammer. But it was all delivered in a way that was very, very just right. And it was very simple. So there was nothing really complicated. There wasn't any flashy, fancy gimmicks like an Undertaker or a Shawn Michaels or, anything just too over the top. It was just a tough guy just being tough. And that's how I would describe him. Some people get so surprised that he was so big and such a famous wrestler at that time in the late 90s in WCW. And he became such a phenomenon, but it just worked. It was simple and it just worked. So his career is now officially over. It was actually a pretty long career. It's not like he wrestled a whole lot the past decade or so, but he was inserted in some matches, and a lot of people didn't like him for 2 reasons, looking back. The fact that he basically ended the career of Bret Hart, not on purpose, but, it was an errant kick. I think gave him a concussion. And also because he went over on The Fiend, who sadly Bray Wyatt is no longer with us. And it didn't make any sense for him to go over The Fiend at all. It still just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. But that's what I have to say. And I've talked about Goldberg a good little bit in the past, but that's all I have to say about his career up to this point. To this point, though, I will say for, I think, a 60-year-old guy, he still mostly looks like Bill Goldberg. You can tell he still gets in the gym, still works out. Still has the same tattoo, still has the complete lack of any neck to speak of. He's not what you call it, the traps on the neck, the shoulders or everything in there. It's not quite as big as it used to be, but he's still a big guy, and it's still believable that he could get in there and he could mess someone up like Gunther. Gunther, who's not a small guy, when you see them right before the match starts, just sizing each other up. Goldberg is clearly bigger. Maybe he's an inch or two smaller. not as tall, but he's clearly much bigger and muscular. Gunther is a wrestler, one of the newer big wrestlers that I don't really I don't know a whole lot about. He calls himself the Ring General. I think, he has kind of like a basic. I don't know. He's not a flashy wrestler, but he's not meant to be. He's just a ring technician. He has I don't know. He has the stuff down pat. I mean, he's not an exciting. It's hard to get excited when you talk about somebody like Gunther. I watched a couple of his matches. He's not that exciting, but he does what he does well enough. He's a good bad wrestling guy. He's a good bad guy. Now the match itself, I will try to leave a link to it from a YouTube channel, but don't expect a link to last that long because WWE probably will take it down. But there's this person in the crowd that actually films the entire match. And the entire match was pretty long for a Goldberg match. It was like 10 minutes. That's pretty damn long for a Goldberg match. You're wondering, how did this guy last 10 minutes in a match? Well, half the match, he played up that he had a injured leg, which is probably the best way to actually structure this match. He had about 2 minutes where he was never fast in the match. He didn't have any. So if you're thinking you're going to see a Goldberg match like he did from the early thousands or late 90s, you're not going to get that. He is a shell of what he once was. If you're seeing it without any context, then you're probably thinking this is fucking lame. Who's this Goldberg guy? But it's for people out there that appreciates, how Goldberg used to once be and how explosive he used to once be. And it's mostly just the whole match after the first couple minutes. It's mostly him just punching Gunther punching him until he gets his little leg hurt because he tries to spear Gunther outside. Then he goes through, and this spot, it's this spot they use, and seems like every match when someone uses a spear, oh, someone's going to get out of the way and is going to go through the wall outside. Oh, it's such a played out fucking spot. I don't see how anyone gets surprised at it anymore, especially in a Goldberg match. I'm pretty sure they used it years back when he took on Brock Lesnar. Now that would have been a good retirement match, like him and Brock Lesnar. Not a double retirement match, but Brock Lesnar going over Goldberg, or maybe it could be a double retirement match. I'm not sure. I think the match that they had, wasn't it both were leaving the company, I believe? So that'd be kind of ironic, wouldn't it? If they met together in a ring and had a double retirement match. But anyways, after he went through the outside and hurt himself, he hurt his widow leg. And he had that knee brace on it. Kind of like Stone Cold had that left knee brace. He's clearly bothering him. He gets in there, and for about 7 minutes, seems like forever, they just go back and forth. Goldberg gets a little bit of offense, and then Gunther just kicks him in the knee, kips him in the hamstring, just kicks at him, and he keeps him grounded because of his leg. He's a big, stronger guy. They tell the story that, hey, you know what? Gunther is weaker, Goldberg's stronger, but his leg. So all things, it made sense. This is a good storytelling of the match because, he's retiring. He's obviously going to lose to Gunther, but this way it doesn't make him look too bad because he's got an injured leg and Gunther's taking advantage of the leg. And also because Goldberg was clearly gassed, after the first minute or so, he was able to basically hold, either be on the bottom of the ring trying to get up, or when he's up, he's grabbing onto the ring ropes, basically holding his whole body up. So only the most of the match, he's basically laying down or holding himself up and moving at a snail's pace. He was so slow in this match. When I was watching it, I wanted to actually speed it up to 1.25 to actually get the match over quicker. So anyways, how the match ends is Little Nate Robinson, I think, legendary referee. I think Little Nate was in this. he has been taking some bumps. I think he took a bump in a John Cena match, and he takes a full on as fast as Goldberg can go. He takes a spear. Gunther gets out of the way, and then Goldberg, being the good guy, he checks on the guy he just speared, and Gunther comes up from behind, being the bad guy. Classic good guy, bad guy storytelling here. He kicks the back of his leg and takes his knee brace off. And of course, he's already struggling with the bad knee. He doesn't have a knee brace on. Goldberg's got a son, I think Gage, who's no small fry. He's a pretty big guy too. Gunther goes out and like taunts him with the knee brace and everything. Comes back in the ring, and then Goldberg hits him with a spear. The slowest spear. The weakest, slowest spear you will ever see. And maybe in storytelling, they could sell to be like, well, his leg was hurting, so this is the best spear that he could probably get. After the spear, he picks him up and gives him the jackhammer. So in his retirement match, he actually gets a spear in and the jackhammer. A jackhammer assisted a lot by Gunther. So he gets the jackhammer. But you know what happens when he's trying to cover him? Oh, my widow egg. He can't cover him. And I don't really understand this. Because, like, to cover somebody, all you got to do is put your arm over their chest and cover them. So I never got this. It doesn't make any sense, logically. If all you got to do is just fall over somebody, but he goes left and grabs his leg, like, oh, like, okay. Like, you don't have 3 seconds to just put your arm over somebody to get the win, but you have to go left and you have to like rub your knee or whatever, and you can't just do that while you're covering somebody. The pain was just so unreal. So because he doesn't get the pin, Gunther gets the best of him and gets the sleeper hold of doom on him, and basically chokes him out. And after that, Goldberg says a lot of nice things to the crowd. So really, it's not really about now who's next. There's no who's next. This is the end. It's for him, what's next? What's next with him? Will he still stay on WWE as maybe like a manager, or possibly will they try to develop his son into a wrestler and then he can be his son's wrestler? I don't know. I don't even know if his son wrestles. But that is the end of the legendary career of Goldberg, who was, like I said, not a great wrestler by any stretch of the imagination. A lot of wrestling purists will point this out, that he just had, you say John Cena has a couple 5 moves of doom, but Goldberg, he had the 5 moves of doom before John Cena ever did. I would say he was a much better wrestler than Hulk Hogan, possibly. I think he had like, but that's not saying a lot either. Some of the best wrestlers, the biggest wrestlers of all time, are not Mac technicians. You look at the biggest wrestlers, you got Hulk, you got Cena, you got The Rock, and you got Goldberg for WCW. So, like I said, it really can't be understated how big Goldberg was for WCW for a few years of time. You could even argue for a year, 98, he was the biggest wrestler in the world. And, you know, when you come to excitement, merch sales, impact generally on their company. So Goldberg, you know, that's not a bad career. As far as this match, though, my thoughts on it, oh, it was a garbage match. It was a shit match. Goldberg should have retired earlier, but you can say that about just about any wrestler. I think maybe the one exception could be John Cena. At least John Cena is not completely, totally washed. Okay, he's a little washed, but him going out right now, retiring in his 40s? No, wait, 40s, 50s? Yeah, the 40s. Retiring in his 40s? That's almost unheard of for a wrestler. That's pretty freaking awesome. You see a wrestler actually retiring before they're in their 60s and can no longer even fucking move and whatnot. So yeah, I'm going to leave a link to it, like I said, at the end of this, if you want to check out this really bad match, but important piece in wrestling history in the final match of one Bill Goldberg. Yeah, check it out while you still can before WWE takes it down off this guy's channel.